I didn't know when we came to Morrisonville off the Soper Road that we were going to come to a ranch, but this is El Rancho Grande,
Right.
the home of Howard and Karen Newton, out in the country on a beautiful August day, 2002, with Garth Newton. How are you, Garth?
Oh, I'm just fine this morning. You can't beat this weather. That's what I'm up here for.
We've been suffering through 90-degree heat for a few weeks now, and all of a sudden 58 degrees this morning.
Well, that's maybe a little cold for you, but I can stand it.
That was very, very nice. For the first time, and I don't know how long, I got in the car and turned the vents on instead of the air conditioning full bore to drive up here.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Who cares about the gas mileage? Just a beautiful day in the North Country. And I was listening to public radio in Canton, and they were talking about what the North Country means to people. And everybody's got a different point of view. I love it. One guy said, when I get to the North Country and I take a walk in the woods, I love the smells. Mm-hmm. He says, I swear, even the river rocks have their own smell.
That's true.
Did you grow up in the North Country, Garth?
I was born in Chateaugay, New York.
Well, there you go. Chateaugay's a good place.
Chateaugay, yeah.
Yep.
Don't blink when you go through it.
Well, some of our best friends are from Chateaugay.
Yes.
So you were born and brought up there and lived there until when?
Till the 40s. And then I went to Waterbury, Connecticut, and I worked for F.W. Woolworth for a while.
Come on.
I did.
Did you really?
I got a good education, too. And then I went in the service. I mean, Uncle Sam says it's your time.
Uncle Sam wants you.
Yeah, your friends and neighbors have selected you. I didn't think much of my friends and neighbors for a while. But
what? So when was that?
Oh, boy, that was back in the 40s. I know it was. I can't remember.
What? How old were you, do you think?
I was just about between 18 and 20. Just about time you could really get in. You know, they were looking for me.
Now, was this before the war started? Before the Second World War started?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And where'd you do your basic?
El Paso, Texas.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
Oh, my.
Nice and hot?
Oh, it was warm. And rocky, mountainous. We took our basic training there. But it was good for us, I'll tell you. When I got through with my basic in El Paso, Texas, I figured that every young man should have the opportunity to go through what I went through.
You just wanted other people to suffer like you suffered, that's all.
It did me good. I did not resent it in the least. I figured it was great.
You know, I should mention before we go too much farther that many of our viewers will be familiar with the name Garth Newton because he ran a local business on Route 3 west of Plattsburgh called Newton Welding Supply for how many thousand years?
Well, it was quite a while. Had to be around 40 years, I guess.
Then you kind of backed out and let your son run the business for a while. And then we had a fire and lost half of it. I remember. I think I was on the radio then. What year was that? Can you remember that?
Oh, I can't remember the year.
It's a few years back, and you're like I am. I can't remember specific dates and times, but when you have a business like that and it catches on fire, it does get a little hot.
Yes, it does.
That was one tremendous fire.
Yeah, I figured I couldn't live on half the business, so I had a fellow that wanted to buy it, but he didn't want the part that burns, so I said, hey, here's your chance. He said, I'll take it.
Yeah. So. But why the welding supply business? Why did you?
I don't know. It was available. I'm trying to think now how I did get involved.
Things
happen. I was not a welder. I never did.
Oh, really?
I never did.
I thought you were probably an expert.
No, I never welded, and everybody says, wondered how I got in the business if I didn't weld. And I said, well, it was there, so I took it.
And it was an institution there for a long time.
Yeah.
There were only a couple of welding supply businesses in this whole North Country, weren't there? And two, and you were one of them.
Yeah.
And the other was Rennie Nephew?
Rennie Nephew.
Oh, how did I remember that?
Yeah. He was in the business before I was, and then the opportunity came along. I had a chance to get into it, and I took it. I was looking for something to do. I took it.
So from there, then you moved to Florida?
When we got through there, yes, we moved to Florida. Yeah. Sold the business and moved to Florida.
But you have so many ties to the North Country.
Yeah.
You've been up here a couple times, 2 or 3 times this year already, haven't you?
Yes, yeah. We keep coming up.
How can you not come
Yeah,
back
no,
to a
that's it.
place like this? Beautiful day. Well, it's so kind of you to come here today, and as you might know, Calvin and I have done hundreds of programs, and many of those programs are with veterans. And many of those veterans programs are with people who went through the Second World War. And a lot of those people have not told their stories before, or if they've told them privately to their family and the public doesn't know about them. But thanks to folks like Tom Brokaw and others who've written books on the subject, and because of what we went through, by the way, we're approaching the anniversary of 9/11, that horrendous time last year, so people are thinking what veterans have meant to this country. And we've been to some very nice banquets and programs and heard speeches and listened to people talk about the Second World War, but the only way to really get the word is to talk to people like Garth Newton, who were there. And you've heard the word Normandy many times. If you haven't studied what happened on the beaches that day, you ought to, because it was a really powerful event in our nation's history.
Yeah.
So how did you? Now you went to El Paso, right? Had your basic
Had our
training.
basic.
Then where?
And then they formed an outfit, and we ended up going in on D-Day into France. There, we were anti-aircraft, which meant that we had guns that went after the enemy when they flew over.
Anti-aircraft, and that was your unit.
That was our unit.
What was the name of the unit?
The 197th Anti-Aircraft.
Were there other people from around here with you there?
Oh,
or
yes.
were you,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
some of your buddies went in when you did?
Yeah. I've forgotten how many was in the group. I wish Spooney was here. He was supposed to come this morning.
Well, he's going to be here a little bit later. Your wife went to pick him up. He lives in Vermont, right?
No.
Oh.
Well, wait a minute. Yes, he does, too.
Yeah, I think he did.
I have to stop and think. Yeah.
He lives in Vermont, and he came over, and your wife picked him up at the Morrisonville fire station.
Yeah.
And he bring him up here. Now, what was his job?
He was our medic, and he was a good one, too. He took care of me. Boy, got real sick at one time, and he really did a good job for me.
Oh, my.
And I mean, I didn't have to go to the hospital or anything else. One of the biggest things that we worried about is getting transferred out of our outfit and losing all the guys that we knew and going, into a hospital. And then when you come out, you went in a strange group and you want to stay with the same guys that you were with.
Of course you did. It was, that for a lot of North Country guys, this was the first time they ever took any kind of a big trip at all when they went in the service, and especially when you're going into combat,
Oh, yes.
We're going to talk in just a few minutes about what you knew about D-Day before you went into it, what the whole experience was like, and maybe your buddy will be here by the time we start again.
Yeah.
We're broadcasting, or at least we're recording this interview in Morrisonville on the Soper Road at the Howard Newton residence, or should I say the Howard Newton Ranch,
Yeah.
on a beautiful day in August of 2002. And we'll continue our interview with Garth Newton in just a moment.
This is
Now we added another member to our little triumvirate here. Howard, how you doing?
Very good, Gordy. You?
I'm doing just great. Howard and I go way back when. I was just writing a little history of the Morrisonville ambulance, and boy, you were there in the very beginning of that.
Right from the get-go. I think the only one that was there before me were the Dagenaws to actually get the paperwork started, and after that, there was a few of us that were from the groundwork right straight on up through.
Hard to believe that's about 21 years ago when that idea was conceived.
It sure was, and a lot of hard work and a lot of effort, but it's well worth it, and it's expanded to a very great organization now. So.
It doesn't hurt to bring that up here, because that was the first ambulance in this part of the country that was independent of fire department, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. We were completely independent on both operation and money-wise. We raised all our own money right from the
Hi, Spooney.
time
Right
of standing on the street corners to working the fairgrounds with the booth to make enough money and operate through the year.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're going to have a guest coming in real soon. He's got to figure out how to open the door, though. Come on over here, Spooney. While he's coming over here, Calvin was saying, what was it like as a youngster to hear these war stories? What was that like for you?
I can remember when I was younger, Dad's Lieutenant Pete Bridges, who has passed away unfortunately now, and Spooney and my father sitting in our living room with a couple other people and just sitting for hours and just listening to what they went through in Europe. It gave me an awful lot of respect. I've always respected everybody from World War II for what they did. Of course, you know what they were up against and what they were fighting for. They weren't just fighting for the U.S., they were fighting for all the world. And what they came out with and what they saw, what they went through, as a youngster, it gave me the greatest respect I could ever have.
And that respect, you just gain respect as time goes on, based on what we've learned about, because I was a little kid during that time period, and the war was glorified on the radio. We'd sit there and listen to Gabriel Heater and all those people giving us stories about what was happening, but it was a special kind of mix that they were giving us. Later on, when we learned the details, it wasn't all that glorious with people getting killed and injured, and it was a very powerful time in history. And what we've learned by interviewing many people over the last several years since Calvin and I have been together is that you don't forget those things.
No, you don't.
50 years, 60 years means nothing.
No.
Because you start talking about it and you're standing there.
You can put a lot of it away and try not to remember it, but it's always there. It's got to be hard to deal with what some of the tales that these guys said that they went through. Just from the time they landed on Normandy right through to liberation.
That's amazing. Well, we're going to let you get up and let Spooney come right over and sit in your seat. Come on right over here and chat with us, my friend. Great to have him here visiting us. We've got people coming from far and near.
If anybody's got the memory of what we went through, it's Spooney.
How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm okay.
I'm pleased to meet you. I'm Gordy Little, and this is Calvin Castine with a camera on his shoulder. And I think you will agree it's important to let people know what that day was like, what it was like getting ready for Normandy, what it was getting ready for D-Day, and how those memories are in your head and they'll never go away, right?
That's right. Sometimes it's hard to think of them, but yet I've gone back 3 times.
Have you really?
Every time it gets a little easier, but this last time I went over with Stephen Ambrose. Asked me to go over with a bunch of students from LaSalle College. And when I got on the bus, I said to the kids, I says, don't expect me to explain anything to you. If you want to know something, you ask. And let me tell you, they were full of questions.
Were they really?
Yeah. And it opened me up a lot where I can talk more about it than I could back then.
It's probably healthier to talk about it, isn't it?
It is. It gets it off your chest and out of your blood, and you feel a lot of, you relax a little bit after it.
That's great. Now, first of all, I don't think people, if we're calling you Spooney, we didn't even know what your real name is.
Spooney. Now, when I got on the bus over in London with those kids, I call them kids, they were 19, 20 years old, most of them, and their instructor says, well, what do you want the boys to call you? This was military college. And he said, they're supposed to call everyone Mister. I said, well, they're on vacation, I'm on vacation, this is the history tour. They can call me what they called me in the service back then, Spooney, and that's it. The kids gave me a cheer, and that was it. From then on, we were the best of pals.
Well, has this name stuck with you since childhood, or did it come in the service?
Childhood.
Really?
Yeah, you ask back in my hometown, you ask for a Sponheimer, which is the way the name is spelled or pronounced, and they'll say there isn't any. But you ask for a Spoonheimer, and they'll say, "Well, which one do you want?"
So
So
it's
that's the way it started. My whole all my uncles and father, they're all called Spooney.
oh, really? Everybody got the nickname?
Yeah, and when I got into the fire company, my uncle belonged. He was Spooney, so when I joined, they called him Tablespoon and me Teaspoon.
Oh, come on. You gotta love it. So where are you from, Spooney?
Well, I'm from Vermont now, up near St. Johnsbury,
And you were born and brought up where?
in Seymour, Connecticut. I moved out of there 39 years ago. I wish it was 59 years ago. Now I'm up in God's country now. I'm like this here.
Yeah, I think God spends a little time over here too,
yes, he
not
does.
just over the state of Vermont. But with this weather today, nobody can complain, can they?
No, this is beautiful.
Oh, this is really great. Okay, where did you guys first meet?
Fort Bliss, Texas.
Yep.
That's
They're
where we
putting our
first
outfit
met.
together.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
And you guys hit it off right off the bat?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Became buddies?
Of course, we never had any arguments.
Never? you mean none that you want to talk about, or what?
I'm not going to get mixed up in this.
We're all, you'll argue. You get to where you're living with someone 24 hours a day, they get on your nerves after a while.
Right.
You know,
Especially in the cold weather.
Yeah.
We practically lived in a half track, which that's a picture of one right there,
Well,
but it's all steel.
let's hold it up. It's the one where my finger is right there, and I'm sure Calvin can get a good
got a
shot of it right here.
I got a bunch
Oh,
of pictures.
there.
Oh, wait a minute,
Good
Calvin.
one.
He's got an even bigger.
He's got a good
There's a good one right there.
Howard's a computer whiz, so he's got it all printed out on a glossy here. Just take those pictures. These are neat.
This one here is
All right, because
red track.
I'm sure a lot of people don't know what it says. I didn't recognize myself at first with a cap on. Notice lead vehicle on the roller of the track.
This is my half track.
Oh, that's yours.
Yeah.
You're up there.
This is what I drove.
This is what you drove.
Yeah.
Looks. What does it say? Lead something on the front.
Lead vehicle. That meant that, hey, we were moving up, and guess who was the number one vehicle?
Yeah, I always thought you were number one anyway.
We were the second platoon, but we were always the first. The first platoon brought up the
They
rear.
found the landmines,
Yeah.
right?
We can even say that. Or, hey, we did that too one
Oh,
night.
man.
We did find the landmines one night up in Cherbourg. We ran over, what was it, 16 of them?
Something
Oh,
like
come
that.
on.
Yes, we did.
And you're
Yeah.
telling me about it?
Yep, we
indeed.
didn't fly that night.
Yeah.
Oh,
The,
my.
the engineers came through the next morning with their mine detectors, and where we came in, digging up those landmines. And I said, oh, my Lord, how did we ever make it?
Is it?
They
What?
figured that they were a little deep and the ground was clay and it had rained and they were baked in and they were more or less a tank mine instead of a personnel mine, or our vehicle was just a little too light to send
Set
them
'em
off. Thank heavens
Really?
for that.
If I'd have been there, we'd have all been gone. You know
Well, that's
that.
what I was
We've
thinking
been
now.
doing this interview in another place entirely.
If we all had the weight then that we have now, we maybe have been overweight.
Well, who's on that half track? Is that you? One of those?
That's me.
That's you. You didn't smoke cigarettes.
Who the hell didn't smoke cigarettes?
I didn't.
You
didn't?
You never
No.
smoked?
Nope.
Oh my
He was the
goodness.
only one.
I sold mine to Pete Bridge and I used them for barter.
Didn't everybody else too?
Yeah,
That was,
I mean-
cigarettes were a good thing to barter with back in those days.
Well, soap.
I bet you don't know the name of that other guy that's on
That
there with
is
you.
Lieutenant Young.
Lieutenant Young?
Yeah.
I wonder if he's still around somewhere.
No.
No, he passed away.
No,
He's
he got
gone,
killed.
huh?
He got killed in an automobile accident.
No kidding.
Yeah. He got to be what, major? He
I think so. I
he
think so.
stayed
He
in.
stayed
I
in.
think he
He
got to
stayed
be
in.
major.
Yeah.
They must have been hired up for majors.
But you see on this vehicle here, see right on the front
I
of it?
saw where it says lead right on the front.
Lead vehicle.
Yep. Oh, that's those were quite a vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were quite. When you say half track, that's exactly what it is. It had a track in the back and wheels in the front.
That's right.
Actually, those things could move along pretty good. Those things
they
could
did.
do 40, 50 miles an hour, couldn't
yes.
they?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
You had to be careful going around a corner. You throw a track.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
And that wasn't too much fun.
Oh, you were done.
Well, corners and especially at night. We had one go through a house in England at night.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
Completely sober, too, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
He
yeah.
didn't make the corner.
Didn't make the corner?
We weren't proud in England that night.
What a way to wake up, huh? Martha, I think there's a half track in the living room. Oh, goodness.
Martha, get your gun.
Yeah.
I need some help.
So listen,
out
you
here.
guys went through basic training in Texas and you stayed together through the whole war?
Oh, sure.
How did that happen?
Because they put an outfit together and they wanted to keep us together. They trained us together.
No one else wanted us, maybe.
That could be, Spooney. Either that or we're... No, but really, they trained a group of men. And each one had a job, and they just wanted them to stay together. And they put us in combat that way. We'd never been in combat, but we went into combat right next to guys that had been in combat over in Africa. It was Africa, wasn't it?
Yeah, Africa. Well, African, Sicily, Italy.
And I said to somebody afterwards, now how come you put a group of fellows that have never been in combat right next to a group that had been? Because you guys don't turn and run. You
Isn't
did.
that amazing? Isn't that amazing?
We couldn't turn around and run because we can't walk on water.
Oh, you hadn't figured that out? I bet there was a few times when you wish you could.
They didn't give us training on that
No.
for some reason. They eliminated that.
Yeah.
So from basic training, where did you guys go first, Spooney?
Let's see, basic training. We went from there to Camp Pickett. We came east on all our half tracks were loaded on flatbeds, and then we had cars we sat in, supposed to have sat in. But during the day, the gang would all go out and sit on the flatbeds with the half tracks, and then if you stopped at a town somewheres, you'd give a civilian a few bucks, and they'd go off and get you a case of beer.
Of course, it's only right.
That's
I mean,
right.
after all,
We
guy
never got
gets
cheated.
thirsty.
Yeah.
We never got cheated. A lot of times they come back and they give us the beer and they give us the money back with it.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Try to do that today. It was a slightly different
Yeah.
world. There was
Yeah.
a different kind of respect for the military in those days than there
Yeah,
was
Yeah.
starting
camp-
in.
From Camp Pickett, Virginia, we went to Camp Patrick Henry. That's in Virginia for our amphibious training. Camp Pickett was our home base, but we spent most of the time in Camp Patrick Henry, where the food was good. It was a Navy base, so you ate Navy chow, so that was beautiful.
Didn't mind that a bit, huh?
But they'd take us out and make us run ashore off the landing craft. One time we went down, just like infantry, down off the side of a big transport down over the cargo net and load it up and come ashore.
Yeah.
I don't know why they made us do that. We never had to do anything like that overseas.
Well,
They wanted you to be ready for everything.
Yeah. Let's see,
Yeah.
from Camp Patrick Henry, then we went back to Camp Pickett. From Camp Pickett, we went to Camp Kilmore to get ready to go overseas. Then we loaded on the LD France.
Mhm.
The LD France caught on fire the night before they were going to load the
You
troops.
gotta be kidding.
yeah.
When we loaded on the LD France, we were going to be ship competent. The medics were going to run the ship bay, and our crew was going to take care of the guns and all that stuff, all the anti-aircraft guns on the boat. Well, then we got kicked off when it caught on fire. We went back to Camp Kilmore. Oh, you'd never believe this. Going through the railroad station, these duffel bags on our back, and some of these 4Fs wishing us a Merry Christmas. Oh, we could have drove them through the wall. Believe me, that's fun. You know, those are the things you remember. The funny things, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta find some humor in it
That's
somewhere,
right.
right?
But you know, any kind of what do I want to say? Season
Yeah.
Christmas season, Easter, or anything. I mean, you know, it didn't make any difference when you were in the service. That was just another day.
Yeah, we've had people. We ask them where they spent Christmas Day,
Oh,
1943,
boy. Yeah.
1944, 1945. You get some very interesting answers. You know.
Then when we went back to Camp Kilmer, some of us snuck out the next was it the next day or the day after, and we went home, us guys on the east, and then we come back that night. God, I brought back all kinds of goodies from my mother's house, my aunt's house, and all that, and just put it on the bed here. Go for it, you know. Boy, it didn't take long.
You made a lot of friends, didn't you, that day?
Didn't have to pack anything.
No, he didn't have to clean his bed off either.
Oh, that was great.
Then when we left Camp Pickett or Camp Kilmore, they loaded us up on the Queen Lizzie. Well, on the LD France, we were on the top deck. We had beautiful quarters, cabins and everything else. On the Queen Lizzie, they put us down on the deck above the engine room.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Noisy, smelly.
Well, it wasn't that so much, but one night they come over the loudspeaker. Keep your shoes on, fellas, because it's going to get cold tonight, and we don't want you to, you know, get your
Get your feet cold.
cold. Yeah, and then we could feel the boat zigzagging, and we knew what the problem was. They wanted us to keep ready to get off the boat if we had to in a hurry.
Oh.
We would have lasted around 30 seconds in
Just
the water.
about. Just
Really?
about.
Yeah,
Just about.
it was January.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
It was the first time the Queen Lizzie ever washed her nose going over.
Wow.
That means her nose went down
Oh, sure.
underwater.
That was a little scary.
Oh, yeah. I ate chocolate bars all the ways over.
Did you really?
I wouldn't go up to that. I went to that mess hall of slop line once. It was English. It was English cooking. You ever have greasy mutton? It would slide down and would slide up just
And
as
it
quick,
split up just as fast.
non-stop.
And always on the stairs. Always on the stairs. There's no
It
way
was
of getting around
non-stop.
it.
Oh boy.
It never hit bottom.
Never hit bottom. Down and up all
Yeah.
at the same time. So lots of, thank goodness for Baby Ruth candy bars
Yeah.
and whatever else you had. Oh my, my,
Just
my.
lay on your stomach.
Yeah.
And that felt the
How
best.
long was that trip?
Too long.
That was
That
quite
was
a
7 days, 8
while.
days.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like
About
that.
that.
Even on that, even on a
Well,
fast
you see, we
ship
were
like that.
chased with the subs, so they went around and all over the place to get away from
Get
them.
away from zigzagging.
So you faced a little danger even before you got over there,
Oh,
then,
yes.
didn't you?
Oh,
Huh?
yes. Yeah.
Did you
Oh,
know
we-
there were subs chasing you at the time, or did anybody tell you that?
Well,
Well,
we-
when they closed the water tight doors all through the ship, you know there's something going on besides a cruise.
How do you get through a watertight door?
Yeah.
Yeah, not too easily, right? So where did you land?
Glasgow. What the heck's that town?
You landed in Scotland?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was just there about a month ago,
Oh,
but it was a far different
It was-
scene than when you guys went
it
landed
was
there.
Glasgow we landed at, but they don't call it Glasgow because it's a port
I don't remember.
outside of Glasgow. I can't think the name of it. Well, we really didn't get into port. They anchored us out at a raft, really, out in the harbor. And the ferries came out and picked us up and brought us ashore and put us on trains and got us out of there.
Huh, so you didn't stay there that long then?
Oh,
You're
no,
just
no,
in
no,
and
no.
out and on your way and
Get going, get out of our
Yeah,
hair. That's
yeah.
all they thought of.
Yeah.
And they got us down to Camp Codford.
Codford.
St. Marie. I've been there. After the war, I went over. My wife's English, and her brother-in-law took us down to. I don't think I got those pictures with me of Codford. And everyone got dysentery.
Yeah, that's what
know.
I was
Really?
going to tell them about.
oh, that's not
Lord.
fun. That's not fun at
I'll
all.
tell you, we were
Hey,
up
don't
on
drink
a,
the water, huh?
we were
Oh,
up on the
God.
top of a hill, and it was raining, and it was mud, and our latrine was way down the bottom of the hill, and you'd see guys take off, and,
Get out of my way.
and I get
Oh,
just
boy.
about down to the down to the latrine, and they'd stop, turn around, come back.
Oh, God.
Oh, it was terrible.
Showers went to 24 hours a day.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
We had.
Oh, boy.
And cold, right in the middle of winter.
Uh-uh-uh.
Steel buildings. The condensation come down, and get up on the roof up there and drip down, and when one of those things hits you, you might as well have been shot.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
So then what?
Let's see. Then we went to Western Supermare in Codford.
Well, Spooney and I tried to get out, but we couldn't.
Did you really?
Yeah, we went to the Western Supermare. That was a summer resort.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. That was on the Bristol Channel. That was beautiful there. And then from there we went down to firing ranges a couple times, down to Land's End. And then most of the outfit made that pre-invasion practice down at, I've been there too, on the English coast, where the German U-boats sunk a couple LSTs. Oh, what the heck is that name?
I don't remember that, Spooney.
Well, we didn't go. The second A battery didn't go because the LCTs we were supposed to be on were broke down. The rest of the battalion went. That was where it was kept secret about the Germans shooting up the Americans on the English coast because they didn't want anyone to know about it. I don't know, around 400 got killed.
Yeah, there were a lot of secrets back in those days, weren't there?
And they sneaked them
Well,
out.
you
of
had
there.
Like everything about D-Day?
Yeah.
That's for sure. Well, when did you end up in Belgium now?
A long time.
We ended up in Belgium. Well, we were on the continent for quite a while before we
Yeah.
got to Belgium.
It was
Let's see the type of weather.
September.
Oh, let's take a look at this.
September, because we were up in Aachen before we got to Belgium. Then we came back down to Aachen, to Borsy and Bastogne after Aachen.
This is, looks like this is going through an awful mess there, Howard. Garth, I mean. Either way, Howard's over there saying, no, I wasn't there.
But that's me right there.
I know, that's you standing right there with a little mud on your shoes, and
Mud up to mine.
the roads were impassable for mud. I can see that.
They
Yeah.
were. They pulled us off for a while.
Isn't that amazing? So, okay, what next?
Well, let's see. Where are we? We're over in Western Supermare. From there, we went to Land's End to shooting, and then we went to D12. That's where everyone got waterproofed and got ready to go onto the landing, to load
Yeah.
for the landing.
Everybody got waterproofed? What the heck does that mean?
They're
All the
talking about the vehicles.
Oh, I see.
All the vehicles had to be waterproof so they could practically run underwater.
Yeah.
So what do they do? Spray them or what?
No. Well, we had something that we put on all the wires so the water couldn't get in and short them out. And short the vehicle out.
Would that be that stuff that they packed everything in, glycine or whatever that was?
Cosmoline.
Cosmoline, there it is.
Yeah.
Now then you had stuff that looked like putty
Yeah.
to put on different things.
Because when you're like this right here, this picture right here is a good.
Yeah.
If this is broke down, the rest of the outfit's going to go. They can't wait for you. And the mechanic could get off and see if he can get you going. If he can't get you going,
You're stuck.
you're stuck.
Oh,
And
okay.
Up at D12, we played softball, horseshoes, and anything else to keep busy besides working on them things.
Yeah.
And then they briefed us on D-Day. They gave us our maps, told us where we were going, what time we were landing, what beach we were going to hit, and everything else. And then 2 days later, they headed us down to, Portland. A lot of troops went out of Portsmouth. We went out of Portland, which was about 10 miles through, what would that be, northeast of Portland. And we loaded there. But when once we left D12, even when we were in D12, you couldn't get near the fence. They had English Tommies guarding you, plus our MPs. But when we left there on our vehicles headed to load, you could not get near those vehicles. You couldn't throw the kids candy. You couldn't talk to anybody. You knew where you were going, and they were afraid somebody would wrap something up in a piece of paper and throw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Well, what? Now, when
Security.
you started getting all these orders about D-Day, did you have any idea what a big deal that was at the time? Did you have
Not
any
really.
idea what a huge thing that was?
No,
I didn't.
no. And I don't think anyone did.
I don't think anybody did.
Well, that was the whole idea, right?
You know.
To
well,
just
it
keep
should
tell
be.
you what you needed to know.
Hey, tell
Well,
you where you're going. Hey,
Yeah.
you're going.
You know, we sat in the harbor there for what, 3 days, 4 days? Must have been 4 days. I got the dates at home, I don't know. It's around 4 days. Well, anyway, when we left there, you know, going over on the Queen Lizzie, the water was so rough we all got seasick.
Yeah.
Going over on the LCT, the water was coming over the bow, over the sides. That thing was like a cork in a storm. No one got seasick.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
No,
had all
I
that
wonder
water.
why.
All they had all
Everyone
that
was
water
so
to
damn
clean it
scared
off.
they had something else to think about.
Isn't that something? Because as we well know now in retrospect, looking back, it was, you know, D-Day almost didn't come off because of the weather. The weather was
supposed to have been
horrible.
It was supposed to have been June 5th.
Yeah.
And instead it was the 6th. They
6th,
postponed it for 24 hours.
Yeah, and the seas were rough. I mean, it was horrible.
Oh,
People
we,
didn't land in the right places, and it was kind of scary.
Stephen Ambrose writes in his books that the decks were so sloppy from vomit that you could hardly walk. Well, I met Stephen one day, and him and I were talking. I said, you know, I disagree with you on one thing. The deck of our boat was, it wasn't dry, it was wet, but there was no vomit on it. I said, we were so scared we didn't get seasick. And he just laughed like hell at me.
Isn't that truly amazing?
Yeah.
Well, when did you start really getting an idea that you were in the middle of something horrendous and huge?
I think we knew right at the beginning, don't
We
you?
knew right when they briefed us. We knew we were in for
We
it.
knew we were. They weren't going to let us sit around any longer. This is it.
Well, you were scared to death.
Oh yeah, anyone that,
Everybody
says,
was.
Wow.
anyone that says they weren't is a liar.
Yeah.
That's right.
How could you
They-
not be?
They weren't there.
No,
That's
they
what
weren't
They
there.
weren't there. I'll tell you.
When we went to go ashore, our LCT hit either a sandbar or an obstacle. You could hear it scrape underneath when it hit, and it stopped. And the captain on it, he says, well, he says, I made North Africa, I made Sicily, I made Italy, and I'm going to make this goddamn one too. He says, hang on. And he put that thing in reverse and revved her up, and boy, she went backwards, and he backed up, and he come again, and you could feel it as it went
Going
over
through, and you made it over.
and made it over, damn it. But
Ah, yeah. I know what
But
you
when-
mean.
when we got as far as he could go, he put the ramp down, and this is funny. Our first sergeant and Donnie Smith from
Little guy, short guy.
from up in Maine, they were going to walk ashore to pick out the underwater obstacles. Well, Donnie, we were supposed to be in low tide, and Donnie walked off the end of the ramp, and he went out of sight.
He was gone.
He was gone. He lost his rifle. Taylor did the same thing, but they come up bobbing, and they walked ashore. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Donnie Smith, he'll verify this. He'll back up every word I'm going to say right now. When he got ashore, Donnie Smith found his half-track, stripped down bare-ass naked, and put dry clothes on Omaha Beach.
Come on.
Yeah.
A little after 7:30 in the morning when things were hot, believe me. And Donnie will verify that.
He got a change of clothes, and everybody else is soaking, sopping.
Well, he got
wet.
his duffel bag off
Off the track.
off the track.
How in that mess? How could he find it?
Oh, it was strapped on the.
It was strapped on the.
I mean, how could he
See?
find a half track?
Well,
Oh.
you come in right with them.
You-
You followed it. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Oh,
there,
yeah.
from what I've heard, there was so much confusion
Oh,
that
yeah.
people didn't know where they were or what they were doing, and
Because
oh, my.
I told that story to Andy Ambrose, that's Stephen Ambrose's son, one day, and he says, God, he says, a dad's got to make a speech, and he told me a funny story he's going to use. He says, I'm going to tell him. He says, can I tell him this one? I said, you tell him that one. And I said, if he wants verification, I'll get it for him.
Isn't
So
that amazing?
Stephen Ambrose used that story in one of his speeches. Yep, but it's
So-
the God's honest truth.
So you guys got wet going ashore.
Oh, did we?
Was it up to your shoulders when you jumped in?
Well, we never had to walk ashore. See, we rode the vehicles in.
Oh, you rode the vehicle
Only
right
two,
in.
only 2 men off each track walked in.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
No,
Yeah.
no,
See,
we rode in.
they walked ahead of a vehicle to make sure that we didn't run off into a great big deep hole and lose the vehicle.
Oh, that's true too. I never thought of
Now,
that.
where's
Okay.
that one big picture? You take the half track, and on the half track, his exhaust was right up here,
Yeah.
alongside the driver's door.
So
It
it's
may
five,
be
it's 5
6
feet,
feet-
6 feet
6
up.
inches above the door. When we went ashore, we went down that ramp. Lieutenant Bridge cupped his hands around the top of that exhaust pipe so the water wouldn't go down it. That's how
You
deep it was when we
gotta
went down
be
in the ramp.
kidding.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Oh, no.
Oh,
that's why if you ever hear that tape I made for the Eisenhower Foundation, I made it in '89, I think. I started it off, I said it was, high tide. Well, that's where I got the idea it was high tide, and it never came out of my mind the whole time. And I always figured we went ashore on high tide because the water was so deep when we went off the track.
Oh my. So what was it? Can you remember anything that went through your mind as you're going to shore? Say, my God, how did we get involved in this, or what's next, or
I don't know.
saying the Our Father, or what? You know, I imagine everybody had different feelings about that,
All
right?
I was thinking, what the hell did I do to deserve this?
Yeah.
We were coming in on these Navy boats who were bringing us in. Navy guys were bringing us in on these, what'd they call them, LCTs?
Yeah, we had an LCT. Yeah.
Well, anyway, there were personnel. And all we wanted to do was get off that damn boat, get off that water. And these guys that were running the boats, oh, I'm glad I'm not you guys. I wouldn't want to be going where you're going and this and that and the other thing. It was just, I mean, it depends. I mean, we wanted off. We didn't want the water.
That was what beach that you went in on?
Omaha.
Oh, you went in on Omaha.
Yeah. Before we got it going back, after we loaded up, we were bored for, I think, 2 days. And Jesus, everyone wanted a drink. And somebody went into the head. That's in the bow of the LCT. I don't know if you've ever seen a 5-gallon water survival keg that all Navy boats had. Well, they're about yay long, this big around. Well, anyway, one of the guys found one in the head. And what was it? It was the sailor's raisin jack that they had made themselves.
Oh boy.
Well,
Oh boy.
of course, we had to taste it to make sure that they didn't get sick on it or
Oh,
anything.
sure.
That's right. I mean, you know.
Absolutely makes sense to me.
Oh, then quite a few of us got a little bit high. And you know, there was hell to pay because they wanted to know how we got liquor. They were afraid someone had swum to shore
Oh,
And-
come
and gotten
on.
booed. Oh,
Come
Oh,
on.
they were afraid.
Oh, yeah.
They
Well,
were
they
afraid
watched
that
you
somebody
like a
might,
hawk.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
say something they shouldn't.
So finally we told Lieutenant Bridge, we call him Pete a lot of the time, we told him what happened because we didn't want to get the Navy guys in trouble. We didn't know what they'd do with us, so we told Lieutenant Bridge, and he went and he told the captain of the ship, or I don't know, they aren't captains. I think they only rated about a sergeant's rating that were driving them things.
I don't know.
But he told him, and they quieted it down so that no one caught hell for it. Well, that's one of the good stories.
Yeah.
That's a very good story. So,
I mean, those are the ones you remember.
oh
you know.
yeah. But what was the rest of the day a blur, or what was it like when you got on shore?
Hell.
Can you just run us through a little bit of it?
All I can say is hell.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
You knew you were being fired on.
Well, I guess
You
I
saw
did.
your buddies dropping like flies.
Yeah.
Did your vehicle make it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A B battery lost a whole load,
Yeah.
a boatload of LC. The LCT took a direct hit. And blew
Lost
it,
all.
blew
They
it up,
lost all their.
everything.
They had a whole bunch of these on it. Lost all their.
We only lost one track on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marquis, he was on the one that got hit. John Stahacki was stuck down in the turret, and he was a little shell-shocked. He was crying and everything. So Marquis crawled back up in the track, dragged him off. Before they hit the ground, a shell come over and blew the turret right off the track.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
That's how,
We've had some close calls. Oh,
that's
I
how
mean,
close
I
it
tell you.
was.
Now, were you guys right together when you finally got off of your half track?
Well,
No, he
Did you-
wasn't on my track, on the track I was on at that time.
I was driving that track. I was a driver. Spooney was our medic.
Yeah.
So he was.
I was on the CP track.
Yeah.
We had a hot-headed redheaded Irishman driving our track then,
Shreenan.
Shreenan. No, Kelly.
Oh, Jesus.
He was
That's
worse
yeah.
than Shreenan. No, it was Kelly. Kelly was driving our track. Oh, my God. Between him and the radio operator, we didn't know who was going to shoot who. That's how Newt got to our track.
Yep.
Lieutenant Bridge had to separate Castro and Kelly, because one of them would not have survived the war.
No, that's what he says. I got to get rid of one of these guys. And he says, I want you to come and drive my half track. I'd be glad to. Oh, I was happy when he told me that, I'll tell you.
So those guys had their own little private war going.
Oh,
Jeez,
man.
I'm telling you.
That
Well,
was horrible. Them two.
I'll tell you that some of these guys, they never made it. Once they got off and started in, and their old buddy was in back of them there, that they were having such a go-around together. That was the end of it. I mean, it sounds terrible, but that's war. That is war. If you don't work together, you're never going to get where you're supposed to go. There's no way in the world.
Well, you know, we talk about sports as having teamwork, but war has to be teamwork, and if you don't work together, you're sunk.
You've had it. You've had it.
The only gory thing I will say, when we were on the beach, Lieutenant Bridge finally came to us and says, we got an opening, we're going to get the vehicles off the beach. And he says, move them. Well, you never saw somebody dead in all your life.
Oh.
You couldn't move a vehicle. And we said something to him, well, what about all these dead men, He says, they won't feel nothing. Drive over them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, in the morning, I can remember in the morning, we were still on the beach, and these, we call them 6x6s, didn't we?
Yeah.
2.5 tonners. They would come down, and they had racks on the back, flatbed trucks they were, and they had racks that went up over the top of the cab, and they would come down, headed for the beach, and just stacked in there like cordwood, the dead men they picked up.
That was the next day.
Yeah, the next day. And didn't make any difference whether they were German or American. They cleaned them up.
Yeah, in telling our story here, I just want to let our audience know that war is hell. And it wasn't just the fun stories about getting in the stashes and
No.
guys having petty little fights with each other. There were lots and lots of good men who lost their lives, not only that day, but many other days, but especially that day. And it had to be horrendous.
I want to go out to the truck a minute. I got some pictures there of where we loaded in England. They're big pictures.
Oh, that's terrific.
Great.
We'd love to see him. We'll take a little break.
Now here's
Spooney's back. He's been down into the archives here. I'll hold it up for the camera, and you tell me what we're looking at right there.
that's the way they fixed the beaches so the vehicles could load without getting stuck in the sand. And those are still there. That picture was taken in 94 or 99 I took that, and it's still the same.
Now, is there concrete under those steel loading ramps?
That is cement blocks.
Oh, it is cement blocks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was steel.
No,
oh,
it's
my,
cement
my,
blocks.
my. And that's still there. Yeah, that'll be there for a while.
Yeah.
All right,
Now-
I'll just hold up
Now-
one at a time.
Well, just so you can see it, this is 199. That's our track.
Oh, it is?
That's our-
199.
That's 2nd Platoon, and that's B Battery, and this is A Battery, 1st Platoon.
Okay, 199 over in the corner. You can't see all of it, but you can see some of it. You took
I'm
these, or-
standing right in the middle of it.
Are you really?
No, these pictures were in Life magazine back in 44.
No kidding.
These were in Life magazine.
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you got copies of these.
This one here is a crow. There's a crow on that man's arm right
oh,
there.
I bet you Kelvin will be able to find it. Battery 197th loading with his mascot crow. I'll put my finger kind of above it and he'll be able to focus on it. Did you see the crow, or did you know anything about it at the time?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah. We
Oh,
all
yeah.
knew they had the crow. Oh
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, you did, really?
Oh
yeah.
sure.
He was the mascot.
The crow made it through the landing, you think?
Yeah, he died a week later, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he
Right
got
under my
asphyxiated.
finger is the guy with the crow.
In the front row?
Yep, right down about there.
I see him. Okay.
Isn't that interesting? What great shots. How did you get these?
I'm standing right there. where
Oh,
my
right,
finger
right
is.
where your finger. I'll get my finger right in the same spot, and we'll find you, Spooney. How did you get these pictures later?
I don't know where the heck I got them.
Boy, those are great memories. Wow.
Well, everybody that had a camera took pictures.
Well,
And-
none of our guys took these pictures. These were all taken by a newsreel and magazines and stuff like. These were all in Life magazine.
You know,
Those pictures, when I was over in '99, I was in Salisbury, England, at the cathedral there. And after we went through the cathedral, a whole bunch of us went through some of the stores, and I found a book. Oh, Godfrey, the book was 12 by 12 anyway, and the whole center folder was that picture right there in front of you.
Isn't that? And you said, wow. I
yeah.
know that guy.
If I didn't, I wanted to buy the book because it had 4 or 5 other pictures of our outfit in it. And I had too much to carry. I couldn't. Now, here's the 2nd Division coming in. I'll explain it to you before I put it up. This is the 2nd Division coming up D+1 around 8:30 in the morning. Right here is all us guys here. We're standing right here. See this cement building here?
Yes, I do.
That's where I set my aid station up that night, was right there. But we're all right there. Here's, where is it? That's not it.
No,
One of our tracks, you can't see it in this
there's a
picture
cement
here.
building.
This tank here, that was the only thing on the beach when we landed. We landed right about over in here. Right about here we landed. We came in.
Oh,
These
boy.
guys here, when I was over in '94, one of the guys from the 2nd Division was there, and I says to him, do you remember when you come ashore shaking hands with a bunch of guys? He says, yeah. I said, well, here, shake his hand again.
Isn't that? Oh,
These-
my goodness.
These were pillboxes.
Yeah, I see him.
Yep.
This road here that they're coming up, the engineers take credit for opening it up. They did not open that road. A Battery of 197th opened that road. They cut the barbed wire. They filled in the tank trench that was right in through here. Of course, after we got it open, they got bulldozers in and they covered up more of it. But this was all a tank trench all along there, and our guys filled it in with shovels.
Well, we trust you because you were there, buddy. You know the
Now
story.
that's the God's honest truth.
That
and
is-
I'll put my hand on a stack of Bibles.
So when you
for
see
that.
these pictures, they bring the memories right back, just as if you were
Oh, yeah.
standing right there today. With all
Those
these
things that look like they got tarpaulins on them, those are pillboxes.
Oh.
That's where the first prisoners came out of. 4 prisoners came out of one of those pillboxes. And why did he come out? One of A Battery's M15s had backed out into the water and fired at the slots in the pillbox, and there was so much stuff going in there, they bailed out. There's too much shrapnel flying around in there.
Oh boy.
That was unhealthy.
I would say that was fairly unhealthy at the time, yes. All right, what are we looking at right there, my friend?
That's a pillbox overlooking Omaha Beach.
Right.
You can see this is high tide now.
Okay.
You can imagine at low tide, the tides on the English Channel are tremendous.
Oh, yes.
When they go out, they go out. So you can imagine we had to come across all this land here, and they were watching us as we come across. And that's one of the pillboxes there. This was taken just last year. This is some of the students. That's one of the fathers there. Yeah.
Was it, now you've been back there how many times?
3. I'm
Is it-
going back again this year, I think in April, the first trip. See, Stephen Ambrose sends me over to lecture the students. That's what he's pushing for more, is more students.
Do you like to do that? Is it good to get the word out?
Well, it's good to get the word out. At first, last year was hard.
Hard.
I mean, it's going to be hard every year, but last year was the hardest. It'll be won't be easy, but it'll be easier. Let me put it that way.
Well, I think it is very important that these stories be told. Let us freeze this one up there first, and then
Yes.
we'll find out what it's all about. Okay? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, what do we got there, Spooney?
That's in 1994 for the 50th anniversary of D-Day. This is all the ships that all the brass came ashore on. There's aircraft carrier there. Our great president was on that, I think. And you call him great. And this is after.
Just got to go worldwide, you know.
I don't care what
We don't care about
anyone
commentary.
knows what I
You
think.
guys
of
been
it.
through D-Day. You can say anything you want to on this program, and nobody's going to come.
I don't care
Just,
if they
just,
do or
just,
not.
just say it. Comments by
Yeah.
Albert Speinheimer.
These are all people picking up souvenirs off of
Yeah,
Omaha
yeah,
Beach.
Boy, do they
This
ever.
this is right where we landed.
Yeah.
So you can see this is almost low tide, so you can see how far we had to come in.
Yeah.
This is this was a landing craft they brought in. Our bleachers were way over in here, and we were up in the top row, and we had a bunch of sailors with us up there that we didn't know they were sailors. But that morning, before we got to the beach, they got on the bus and they told us, do not boo the president. We don't want him embarrassed in front of all the dignitaries. Well, we had to sit on our hands and keep our mouths shut. The sailors behind us wanted to boo him, but they didn't dare because they weren't discharged yet. They were still on furlough. This is Omaha Beach. When we left our hotel in the morning, this is D-Day. We did make D-Day there. We went to Utah Beach first, and we got in there. When we were sitting in the bleachers, they announced that the president would be 30 minutes late or something. Well, then no one held it back. You should have heard the booing then. Well, anyway, when we left, just before we left Utah, they came in front of us, our guides, and says, look, they're going to serve food. Don't stop for it. Run for the bus. We're going to make Omaha. We got to Omaha Beach just before you turned down to it. And lo and behold, it was the same road that we opened, that we went down.
No kidding.
Mhm.
And you knew that at the
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
On top of the road was a bunch of French grenadines. And they said to us, you can't go down there because you just went to Utah Beach. You can only go to one ceremony. Well, I'm sorry. I got up from behind the bus and I went down and I told him, I says, look, no goddamn German stopped us in 1944, and I says, no Frenchman is going to stop us in 1994. And I said to the driver, get going. And he got going, and he went right by him.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Hey,
Oh, what a
But
photograph.
that's me. I got something to say, I say it.
Well, you know.
Now this is, okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
we're going to take a look at this one then. And Calvin's going to... Okay, now, tell us what that is, Spooney.
This is on the English beach. These are all big gun emplacements up here.
On the top.
On the top here.
Okay, I got
And
you.
they're all overlooking the beach. They can see all the ways up to Point de Hoc without any trouble.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So it was the first time you went back, it was a little strange, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, the first time was back didn't help much because they wouldn't let us stay down on the beach to do anything.
Oh,
we
I
had to
see.
get on our bus and take right off. So it was a lost cause.
Oh, my goodness.
That's
This brings everything right up close, doesn't it, huh? Okay, this is...
one of those guns that you see on the top of that picture. This
Yep.
is one of the gun emplacements here. And he was firing at anything on the beach, plus at the Navy ships offshore.
this was
Uh,
enemy.
Yeah, that was
That was a German gun emplacement.
Yep.
They were heavy
Yeah.
reinforced concrete.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
pretty hard to knock them out, wasn't it?
Oh, you couldn't really knock them out.
Nah.
No.
What the guy, what
You
the
could
guys,
get shells
what, the,
inside, but it was pretty hard to knock
what
them
the
out.
guys did was took hand grenades and they'd come up,
They sneak up and throw them in, yeah.
throw them in. Any opening there was, they'd throw them in or throw them down the gun barrel. Or
Whatever it took. But those things were huge and very, very strong.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another one. Let's take a look at this one. I'm so glad you brought these pictures along with you. These are terrific. There's another one, huh?
Now that one, he took a direct hit from the English cruiser Ajax. The Ajax is one of the cruisers that sank the Graf Spee down off of South America.
Yes.
Well, they call this the luckiest shot in the war. He got a direct hit into this here, and it hit the magazine, and you can see what it did. There's
That was
hardly anything left to it.
That
It
was the end of that.
even blew a hole
In the
in
back
the back
side.
of it. You maybe if you look close on the ceilings, you may find some German brains. I don't know, but you can see where it was such a big explosion. It lifted the top of that pillbox.
Can you imagine?
So you
But it had to be a lucky shot. It was very, very hard to get a shell inside.
I didn't think they had brains.
Yeah.
But can you imagine today? You look at all those. Do you see any writing on the walls?
No graffiti.
No graffiti, no chipping, anything. You don't touch this stuff.
People respect it. It's
And they
sacred.
respect
It is sacred.
And
Okay. Oh, this is quite beautiful.
then this.
Wait a
Go
minute.
ahead.
We'll take a look at that, and then we'll talk about it. Okay. What is it?
This is down in front of those guns, in the field in front of those guns. This is what is left of the German trench.
Oh, I see. The markings in the middle, huh?
Yeah, that's all caved in. That's the German trench that was protecting those gun emplacements. That goes all the ways way over.
It's amazing. After 60 years, it's still there, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. These are fabulous photographs. Let's take another one.
And there's a. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
I keep forgetting.
No, that's perfectly all right.
You can start talking about it.
Okay, we can, yeah. This is Omaha Beach.
Yeah.
You can start
the,
right away.
The view of that. This is part of the English beach here. Omaha Beach is way up
On
in
the
here.
left-hand side,
Okay.
yeah.
This is Point de Hoc, way up here. That's Point de Hoc. So you see the view that they had of us coming ashore. And then you wonder why we made it, why we had so much trouble
We
getting
wonder
off the
why
beach.
we made it.
Oh, boy.
After being there now, the first time was no good. The second time was a little bit better. We got to walk the beaches and some of the pillboxes, but this time here, I got where I walked in some of the trenches that were overlooking the beach. Why they didn't pick us off one at a time out of our vehicles, I'll never know. They could look right down into where we were. It's a miracle.
Well, somebody up there was watching you.
You
Okay.
betcha.
Calvin says you can start talking about this right away.
Those are part of the mulberry. You've heard of how they built the mulberries over in England, and they floated them over,
Yep.
and then they sunk them for a dock. Well, these are some of the mulberries here that are left, that are on shore now. Then out there in the water, you still see some that are still there.
Well, what is that made out of? What is it?
Concrete,
It's all concrete.
and they floated across.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Well, you can do anything.
Oh, boy.
You have to.
Okay, you mentioned Point de Hawk.
There's Point de Hawk. That's where the Rangers went up the side of the cliff. They went
Yep.
up on ladders and everything else. This is a gun turret. This is where one of the guns was supposed to be that the Germans had moved, and they were back maybe a half mile or so in the woods. But that's one of the gun where the gun emplacement was. And then all these here, all these
In the middle.
pillboxes.
In the middle.
Oh, there's more. You can see, they're all connected underground. You can crawl from one to another.
Oh, they were.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
You can't do it anymore. In '94, when we went over, you could still do it. In fact, our tour guide in '94 told us he was brought up in Normandy, and he told how he used to play in those tunnels when he was a kid.
Oh, no kidding.
You can't anymore.
You got them all closed
They
off
got
or
them barred
filled
off.
in, or yeah.
Now here's
Probably just a little bit dangerous, I would imagine.
there's more what's left of the pillboxes.
These are pillboxes.
Yeah, what's left of them.
People can get an idea what they look like. I'm sure for many of our viewers, this is the first really close-up view they've had of any of this stuff. So this is a good education for me and for many of our viewers here today.
That's just more of Point de Hawk. Where you see all those craters, they aren't from shells or anything. When the Air Corps went over and raided parts of France and Germany, if a plane didn't drop all his bombs and they came back over Point de Hawk, they were told to drop all bombs on Point de Hawk on your way back.
Really?
That is the most bombed area in the whole war.
Right there. Huh?
In fact, the point of Point de Hawk is laying with the point sticking up in the air, and part of it is in the water where it got blown off the end of the cliff.
Wow.
The pillbox that is on the edge of Point de Hawk, you can't go in it anymore. This last time I was over, they got it fenced off because it's erosion underneath it, and they're afraid it's going to cave in, so they don't allow you in it anymore. I've been in it twice before. It's quite a view from there. And then this isn't much here. This is
Well, it's something. Well, we got to take a look at all these things. Who are these lovely people?
that's Ron Derez, Stephen Ambrose, and myself. Stephen gave me his autograph there. That's what he's doing there, is signing my autograph, and that's what he signed. I enlarged the whole thing.
So you've met this guy several times.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's a great guy and a good writer. He's been embroiled in a little bit of controversy in the last few months. And
Well, I know all about that. It's not his fault.
Oh, okay, good. You can defend him.
When I was over in France the second time, he says to me, he says, "Hey, Spooney," he says, "how about for the D-Day Museum, how about getting your gang to come down?" I said, "Yeah, good idea." So we went to our reunion that year, and I brought it up about going to New Orleans for our annual reunion. And they voted it, yeah, go ahead, you make the arrangements. Well, all I did was call Stephen Ambrose's son up, and he made all the arrangements, and we went there. And the night they had a big dance. Oh, it was enormous. Boy, did I get cocked. Well, anyway.
You're entitled to it.
Andy, I was looking for Andy and Ron and Andy's partner in this travel agency they've got now. And all of a sudden I heard them holler, "Hey, Spooney, here we are." So I went over to where they were. And Yaker, that's Andy's or Stephen's son-in-law, he was in the Jewish Army. He was a paratrooper in the Jewish Army. He was a medic, so he calls me Pill Roller. I call him Pill Roller when we call up all the time. Well, anyway, he says to me, "You want to go see Dad?" I says, "Yeah. I want to make sure he knows I got the gang here." So I went up to him, and the first thing he said, "Did you bring him?" I says, "Yep, I got him." He says, "Good." He remembered it, that he had asked me to do it. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, it's too bad when negative publicity assails a guy who's written so many important things.
Who's this guy?
Who's the other guy on the other side of that picture? Do you
That's
know?
Ron Derez.
Oh, Ron Derez,
yeah,
you mentioned
right,
that. Yeah,
right,
okay.
right.
Ron.
Yeah.
Oh boy, what parties we used to have on the tour.
Hey,
Yeah.
Now
what a
this is
speaker
the
he
English
is, too.
sector here,
All right, let's take a look at this.
and that is 1999.
Okay.
That shows all the American vehicles that the French people have. Every Frenchman, I think, has an American vehicle
Oh, really?
in their barn.
Come
no,
on.
no, honest. You go over D-Day. Now you go over starting the first part of June until the middle of June. You can't hardly get down the road for American vehicles.
Isn't they
And
bring
the
them out? They tune them all up and bring them out.
Yeah, and the Frenchmen all got their signs. All got the American flag, flying on them. I'll tell you another one. We were up in St. Mary of Lease, and I saw this Jeep, and on the front of the Jeep, it had, what is it? Oh my God, I got it with me too. It's behind the seat of my truck. It says D-Day 1999 on it. And I said to a bunch of guys I was with, I got to get that sign. Get one of them. Well, he says, that's easy enough, which they all wanted to get around the Jeep and steal it. I said, no, I don't want it that way. I'll buy it. We couldn't find it in any store, so we went back to getting something to eat and something to wash it down with. And here comes the Jeep down the road. So I ran out in the middle of the road. I stopped it. Well, he stopped. I walked up to it and I says, "You speak English?" "Oh yeah, we're from England."
Oh, gosh.
I says, "Well, that's half the battle." So I says, "Where'd you get that marker plate?" I says, "I want one." They says, "Yeah, down in the English sector, can. But they're all out of them. They won't have them until, I don't know, they told me a couple days." I said, "Oh, hell, we'll be long gone for that." So they said, "Well, we'll get you one." So they give me your name and address, and I did. I said, "Well, how much is it so I can pay you now for it?" Because I says, "There's going to be a lot of postage sending that in the mail." They says, "No, you'll get a bill with it." So we went on our merry way. We were all walking. There was around 4 or 5 of us walking up to the bus, and all of a sudden we heard a peep peep behind us. And who was it? It was the Jeep. You always know a peep peep. We can tell a Jeep from them.
Jeep beep.
You know the sound of a Jeep. And lo and behold, it was that Jeep. So the woman, she jumped out, and he got out, and they had the marker plate in their hand.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
So you got it. You got to save it behind the seat of your truck, huh?
Well, I had it in my window for quite a while, but I've taken it out. I said, "Well, what do I owe you for it?" Oh, they said, "Nothing. You paid for that years ago."
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? Huh?
I'll get the plate out and show it to you.
Oh man, I recognize some of these people.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
We're presenting 2 flags that were on caskets of 2 of our comrades. One was Lieutenant Bridges, and one was Sergeant Gomes's.
Yeah.
And we presented them they wanted them flown at the cemetery at Omaha Beach, so we brought them back over, the 3 of us.
Who's this gentleman over
That's
on
George Hunt.
Hunt.
George was 84. He just died, just about a year ago.
Oh, no, it hasn't been that long. George Hunt, has it been a year?
Yeah, just about a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that long.
Oh, okay. Boy, what a great collection of pictures.
And that character
Uh-oh.
at the base of that is me.
Yeah, that's not you in the statue, though, right? That's not you in the statue. We know that. Okay.
Oh, I
That's
thought it
the
was when I first looked at it.
That's the statue at Omaha Beach.
Oh Oh my,
Yeah.
that's pretty big. That looks
Yeah,
like
it
Oh,
is.
Yeah.
20 feet, 25 feet
Yeah.
tall maybe.
Well, this year when I go over, I'm going to get the whole statue, not just part of it. I want the whole thing.
You've got a lot of it in there. That's beautiful. Gee.
And this is the
There's-
cemetery of
there's the
Omaha
cemetery.
Beach.
That's
Well,
where we. That's where we came in.
Yep.
If a man doesn't break down when he goes there, there's nothing.
That's right.
He's not right. He's not normal.
Oh boy. Such
It's-
memories, huh?
Yeah.
It's got to be almost overwhelming when
Yeah,
that
it
happens.
is.
Oh, it is.
Oh.
It is.
Oh, that one there. Oh, that's
This is school children, huh?
Yeah.
That's school kids.
That's at Borsee, Belgium. That's a little town we were in just before the Germans came through. That's where they drove us out of. We go back, anytime we go back there, they close the town down
That's right.
and they open it up for us.
Yeah.
That's us. After the Battle of the Bulge, the captain and 2 lieutenants went back to Borsee, and they were in tough shape. They had no food, no nothing. So they come back to where we were bivouacked, and they loaded up the trailer on the Jeep with food. They'd go to each track and get what extra food, because we were on 10-1 rations then, and whatever extra food you had, they took and they put in the trailer, and they went back to Borsee with it and gave it to the towns. Yeah.
And they don't forget, do they?
No.
Nope.
And
Yeah,
here's
like I
Borsee.
said, 60 years means nothing. Oh my goodness.
This is Borsee
Oh.
after the breakthrough.
What a poignant photograph this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Look at this.
Yep.
You remember that, Spooney?
Yeah. I'll tell you how we got to Borsee in 94. No, 99, wasn't it, New? We went back on that tour. We asked the tour guide to stop at Borsee because we were at Bastogne. We were going to Malmedy, and we wanted to go to Borsee. And he says, "No, it's not on the program." So we kept arguing with him. No, we can't. So finally, this friend of Garth's, he's from Albany. He's a funeral director out there. He was
Oh, Frank Miner.
Frank Miners. He spoke up and he says, "Well, if you'll go to Borsee, I'll speak at Malmedy." Frank was the head of the grave registration that recovered all the bodies that the German massacred up at Malmedy.
Oh my.
So Frank Miner gave the story of that whole thing up there at Malmedy. And with that, the tour guide says, "Well, we'll go to Borsee, but we'll only spend 15 minutes. Well, they had called Borsee the night before. They finally got, what's his name? Not Marquis. Oh, that buddy. Oh, I can see him.
What was it?
Yeah, Maquette. They finally got a hold of Maquette at midnight and told him we'd be there sometime that morning. We'd only spend a little time. Well, we got there, and they had the town, they had food, wine, beer, everything all set up for us. We spent almost 3 hours there.
Fixed them, didn't you?
It was fabulous.
Oh, that's
they-
wonderful, huh?
They said, you know, this is the real thing. This is not political.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
15 minutes? Oh no.
That's
Stay
the-
here as long as we want.
Yeah.
That's the Malmedy up outside, or the monument up outside of Malmedy where they massacred all these Americans that the Germans shot. And the Belgian people keep that decorated every year, all
they really?
summer long,
Yes,
just like that.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And here's more of the wall. Each one of those plaques you see there is the name of one of the veterans that got shot up there at Malmedy.
Oh.
Now here's the field across.
Oh, wait a minute. I just want to mention this, that all these names, how big is that wall, Spooney?
Oh,
Pretty big?
Oh God, it must be 150 feet long.
Really?
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah,
at
we
least.
talk about the Vietnam Wall being a very potent thing, and we've seen the traveling wall up here, and I know it was an overwhelming experience for me. just to stand next to this wall and to see what it means. Every one of those is the name of somebody we lost there, right?
Yeah.
That was killed
Yep.
there. Yep.
Oh my!
That was murder. That
Yeah,
was
it
nothing
was-
but cold-blooded
It was
murder.
a, it was a
That's
massacre. You're exactly right. The word was massacre.
Yep.
All right, let's take a look at the next
There-
one.
There's the field across the street from the monument. That is where they were all massacred. That land will never be built on. That is sacred ground as far as the Belgian people are concerned.
You can't even imagine what it must have been like that day, right?
Yeah, but they won't build on that at all. That's
It's not a bad idea for our viewers. This isn't just a little pictorial tour of the world. This is very serious business we're talking about. These days were days that changed the world. They really were.
now here's what the people of Bastogne think of the Americans.
Okay.
That monument is enormous. Every state is listed around the top of that, and each one of those pillars is listed the names of the divisions and outfits that were there. You see, I got Vermont there. That's my top one. That's the. Then I got New Hampshire,
Where
which
the
is
hell's
next
Vermont?
door to us.
Yeah. It's across that pond out there.
You know,
Okay.
I haven't got New York here though.
I don't know if we should consider that a personal slight or not.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Then here's a distant photo of it, trying to take it all in to show how big it is.
It's great. I wonder how many of the guys get a chance to go and visit these places now. It's a wonderful thing for you to be able to experience that. Have you been over there,
Oh,
Garth?
yes,
Have you?
yes, yes.
You've been back too, huh?
Yeah.
Now this picture here, there's quite a story on that.
All right, let's tell the story. That's what we're here for.
We were down in Wisp, Luxembourg, at a dedication to a monument that day, and they had bleachers for us to sit in, so we went up and sat in the bleachers. After the ceremony, we got on the bus and we took off and went on our merry tour. We got up to Cologne, Germany, and we were standing around, and all of a sudden, this bunch of youths came up and they got all around us. Well, we'd been warned about the eggheads or whatever you call them they had over there in Germany.
Skinheads, yeah.
Skinheads, yeah.
Close
Well,
enough.
close enough. So we didn't know what we were in for. We figured we were in for trouble. Now, lo and behold, one of them piped up and says, "It's about time we caught up with you guys." He says, "We've been chasing you since Luxembourg." They wanted to talk to us about the invasion because we had our 197. You can see we had different hats on then, a 197th, and it had Omaha Beach and stuff like that on it. They were West Point cadets. And
a far cry from skinheads, I
Yeah.
would say, wouldn't
Yeah.
you?
and they were on their
Or
summer.
eggheads either, for that matter.
They were on their summer course, and they were doing the invasion for their history
Oh,
major.
sure. Wow,
And-
what better way to get
boy.
to history but from
I
the guys who were there?
I wanted to send that picture to West Point, but stupid us. We didn't get any of their names. We
Yeah.
didn't swap any addresses. I had no idea where to send one. Send a picture. I wanted to send the kids a picture. So I said to my wife, "Well, I'll send it to the commandant of West
Sure.
Point." Oh, she says, "Don't do that. Maybe they were lying to you. Maybe they weren't on a tour."
Well, if they weren't,
So I never did.
You
send
should have
it.
done
Oh,
it, and you
shoot.
still should do it.
sure,
They would
You
love to
could
have a
still do
copy
it.
of it now.
you could still do it.
Oh, bring it on over. Hand it to Spooney.
With the bodies numbered.
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
This is the massacre.
Oh, isn't
Malmedy-
that? Oh my
Malmedy
my.
massacre.
Oh my. Let's talk about your poignant photographs.
And this
Let
guy.
me just set the microphone down here so Calvin can get a good shot of that. Yeah. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I've never seen that before. Just as well if I didn't see it too many times in the future. Oh my.
There's a colored
Yes.
photo in a book somewhere. So
Unbelievable. Look at in the snow
Oh yeah, there's in the wintertime.
in the wintertime. Deep
That-
snow. Men of the U.S. Army, First Army, prepare to launch a counterattack on the flank. Hitler's last offensive. Oh my. Yeah, there are a lot of books. This is the Reader's Digest illustrated story of World War II. I guess I have.
I've got to get that.
I guess I have seen a copy of that before. Amazing
The,
pictures.
The odd story about that is one of our Jeeps was up in Liège that day. A Marquis and Lieutenant, was it Alarcon or Clark was with them. They were up there to pick up the mail for the battery. That's where our headquarters was up in Liège. They stayed back where it was pretty safe. Well, anyway, B battery was also there. So the B battery driver said to Marquis, well, wait for us and we'll go back the two Jeeps together. And Marquis says, no, we want to get back right away. And well, they said, we'll only be 15 minutes. No. Lieutenant Clark said, no, we've got to get going. So they took off. Marquis and Lieutenant Clark made it back. B battery never made it back.
Oh boy.
They got caught.
Boy, isn't that amazing?
Yep.
Just from one moment to the next. What do you got? A map?
Well, these are maps. Well, I don't think you can see them on the full with a camera. This is where we went, where we started, and different spots that we went.
Well,
to.
we can just get it. Set the microphone down, and we can hold it up and just let some people look around there, and you can talk a little bit more about these maps as we go, Spooney.
Well, that's just a outline of where we would. This is. You'll see more of this one here.
Oh, I see. You got. Oh, actually, there are some of the route, the mission, the bivouac.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
all
yeah.
marked out.
It's all marked out there in various places. You can look around these maps and get another better point of view. Oh, here's a better one.
You may be able to see some of the lines.
Oh,
on that
yes,
one.
you can certainly see some of the lines in this one, that's for sure. Are these your own maps? Maps that you had, Spooney?
Oh, I don't know where I picked them up. They're just procedure of procurement.
Yeah, procedure of procurement,
that's-
Makes perfect sense to me, that's for sure. Oh, my goodness. What other picture? Have we got any other pictures here that we haven't taken a look at? Have you got a whole lap full of pictures? Oh, I thought, we got most of them here, huh?
Well, I'll put them away.
Okay.
I'll get them out of your way.
Let me get these back to you.
Well, I got my two albums are in.
Now, wait a minute. I want to show this picture right here. Right? And once we get a shot of it, then you can tell me who some of these people are. Let's tell me, who are some of these people? On the right-hand side.
I'm going to make it easy.
Okay. Right side of the picture, that's...
Spooney.
Okay. Looks just like him. You haven't changed a bit, Spooney. All right. And I know who that other mug is
this
next
one
to
here.
him right there. That's you, right?
Yeah.
We're going from right to left in the front row. And the third person is
Willie Myers. He was our auto mechanic.
auto mechanic. Okay. Next.
This guy's name was O'Bannon. He's passed away.
Okay.
This fella here was Spooney.
Spooney, who was that guy over in that corner?
Who's this guy
yeah.
here? I can't remember his
Ingalls. George Ingalls.
name. Engels.
Okay.
He's from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the top row from right to left.
All right. That's our Lieutenant Bridge. He was our commanding
You've
officer.
mentioned his name several times here.
And this guy, I don't know we don't know what his name is. We all
You called him Sad Sack?
We called him Jeter anyway. He went
Jeter.
by that. He was
Joe
our,
Ellis.
Yeah, that's right.
He
was-
Boy, what a mind, huh? Joe Ellis.
Yeah,
Just
Joe
like
Ellis,
that.
that's right. He was our
And platoon sergeant.
platoon sergeant. That's right.
That's Bill Gray,
That's Bill Gray.
our radio operator.
Yeah.
But not the Bill Gray we know from around here.
No. He was from Missouri, I think.
Yeah.
And this is Lieutenant Young. He's one of our officers. Here's the two officers we had.
Yep.
And this guy here, his name was Robinson, and he's passed away.
Last guy on the left.
Yeah.
This lieutenant here, he got hit on the beach. he got a butt full of lead, believe me.
Oh, boy.
He had it.
Yeah.
He looked like a pincushion.
Oh, my.
Yep. So I shipped him off, and he didn't get back to us for, quite a while. And he came back to France, and he was put in repo depot.
Oh, jeez, that's the worst.
Well, our Jeep went to the repo depot for something to pick up somebody. And Lieutenant Young's, all he saw was the Jeep with 197th going down the road. He comes screaming down from him where he was, wait for me, wait for
That's
me.
right.
Well, they stopped. They didn't know who it was. And when they found out it was Lieutenant Young, he just jumped in the Jeep and he come back to us. Nothing. No papers, no nothing.
He just wanted to ride.
He
that's
says,
all.
I
He
don't
wanted
want
to get back
nothing.
home.
He says, all I want to do is get back home with you
That's
guys.
right.
So we had another lieutenant there with us. Oh my God. He was a 90-day wonder. He was something else again.
He was your buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Polished. He kept his revolver was polished. His bars were all polished. When he first come to us, Pete Bridge took one look at him and he said, my God, look at this. So the first thing he made him do was strip all that stuff right off of him. But he still wanted us to salute him every time we crossed him. Well, you're working in the same area. You ain't going to salute the damn fool every time you turn around. He's in front of you. So finally I went to Lieutenant Bridge and he was on us all the time. I said to Lieutenant Bridge, I said, can't you do something with him? Well, he finally went to him and he says, Nash, you take care of the mail. You censor the mail and I'll take care of the men. That was the end of Lieutenant
Take care of
Nash.
the mail.
He even had his mother send him toilet paper because the GI
Okay,
toilet
now
paper was too rough.
Now we got the whole
Now you got
story.
the story.
Now you got the whole story.
The GI toilet paper was too harsh, huh?
Yep.
Oh my. All right, let's take a moving right along here, folks.
Moving right along.
That's
What?
the truth, too.
Let's take a big. Okay, you got to tell me who we got in this picture here.
Well, you got me
Where?
right here.
Oh, you're on the upper left-hand side of the picture with
Yeah,
the
that's Spooney's.
with the cool hat on. What kind of a hat is that? you
Well,
got on there?
it's a winter.
It's a winter hat.
It's a winter hat. I can
yeah.
see that.
I can't.
See, he's thin-blooded. He's all dressed up. The rest of us
Well, the
are
rest of them,
stripped
Christ, I mean, they swapped all their clothes away to. For,
Where was
I'm
this
not gonna
take?
tell
Where
you.
was this picture taken? Does anybody
Belgium.
know?
Belgium.
In
That was
Belgium?
Borcy.
Borcy.
Yeah,
Borcy?
that's Borcy.
Borcy, Belgium. Yep. I thought you were in there, but you're
Yeah,
not.
I am right there.
Yeah,
Oh, there
he's
you
right,
are.
Yeah.
right next to you.
There's
Myers.
Myers.
Myers in the front row on the left.
There's
Yeah.
Pete.
In the middle, Pete.
There's
Durand
Duran. And
Okay.
O'Bannon.
and O'Bannon.
O'Bannon is standing up on the
Yeah,
standing up on the right hand side.
he committed suicide.
Oh,
right
my.
After we got back. We had 2 of our squad commit suicide
Yeah.
when we come back.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
It's a lot to handle. There's so much in people's
You know
minds.
what gets me today is these guys coming back from Bosnia and Afghanistan and Desert Storm. They all say, well, we don't get any mental help or anything like that when we come back. Well, we never, mental help?
What's that?
What's that? We come back, and I think we heard a few guns go off, and we had to take care of our own mind. Never mind having a lot of help.
You
It
wonder how
irks me when I hear some of this crybaby stuff.
Well, this was this was a pretty tough generation that you were a part of.
You
And I don't think it's
you toughened up quick.
well.
Yeah.
What choice did you have?
We didn't.
What choice did you
Either
have?
you toughened up or you were
That-
gone.
But what I want our young people of today to understand is, you had to toughen up in 2 days, 3 days. This invasion of Normandy, D-Day, what you guys saw in just a very short period of time, most people wouldn't get to see in a lifetime.
No.
I mean, they see it in a movie and they think, "Wow, isn't that cool?" Huh? They just weren't there, were they? Huh?
No.
Well, here's a very interesting picture right here. Is anybody we know?
I think, yeah, oh yes, very, very prominent.
Is that the one you have hanging in the bathroom?
No, yours. I hate to tell you, Spooney, yours is in the bathroom, not mine.
God!
You guys are incredible. What is that? The tape you made, Spooney?
Yeah. Do you have a little tape recorder?
We have a tape, don't we? Recorder here.
You got one that'll fit this?
Is that? When did you make that one?
If this is right, it's 1989.
Really?
I made this for the Eisenhower Center.
Do we have a player on?
Is that something that
Huh?
did you write it, or is it just you telling
It's
the
an
story?
It's an oral history.
Just right off the top of your head?
Yeah.
And
There's a few mistakes in it because I said we come in at high tide, we come in at low tide, and stuff
Really?
like that. Yeah.
you did
If
that
I
for
was
the
sure.
Eisenhower?
I thought it was high tide all the time.
I did too. If I was sure that's what it is, I'd give it to you because I got some home on small tapes. I should.
Well, we'll check it out before we leave. We can listen to it.
You got
See,
somewhere you can
see
listen
what
to
it is. Yeah, we'll listen
Oh,
to
wait
it
a minute.
before we go. Howard's got a player. We'll check it out. What do you got in that book over there, Spooney?
This is this. Oh boy.
Oh, you got stuff. I should have known you guys would come prepared here today. That's for sure.
I could have brought a dozen more.
Oh yeah, maybe we can get a chapter 2. You know, what very often happens is we'll come back and do
These are some
a second
thank-you
episode.
letters. These are some thank you letters I got from
Various
the
people.
people on the tour.
Nice memories.
But this is
Oh my
you can
my.
go through. It's all self-explanatory there in the left-hand corner. One of the history teachers that were on the
Well,
tour.
let me just set this microphone down.
One of
And
the
I'll hold this book up.
Maybe you can read. Spooney.
All right, we're just going to turn pages here and see what we got. This in England.
Yeah.
Boy, look at that beautiful towers, huh? This is memorial for Prince Albert. You
Yeah.
took all these pictures?
No, a friend of this is one of the history teachers that went on this tour with the LaSalle Institute.
Yeah.
And when we came back, he made this up and he sent it to me. He said, "I want you to have this." So he did that for me.
Well, it tells what everything is. We don't even.
You don't even need me.
Yeah, we need you. We need you. We
Here's
don't
the
have
changing of the guard. To get over here to Buckingham Palace to watch the changing of the guard is useless. You can't get near it. You can't see anything. So we got down the street. This is where these guys are billeted. This is them coming out. This is
I
the
see.
band coming out here.
I see.
Yeah.
Boy, very interesting. Very interesting. Oh, you got some beautiful stuff.
This is
here.
more of them here coming out. This is the
Well,
band.
these are places you've been, though, right?
Oh yeah. We were right there. And this is the horse guard.
Oh boy, beautiful shots. Really nice shots.
And this is just more of the scenery in London.
Boy, does that look
Tower.
familiar, huh?
Yeah.
Towers.
Boy,
Yeah.
I guess so. Look at that.
London, that's London Bridge, isn't it?
Beautiful
Yeah,
gardens
yes.
and beautiful.
You haven't seen this
Mo-
book, have you?
No, most of these. Oh, look at this. Castles. The tower.
This-
There's the actual Tower of London.
This is the Tower of London here.
Yeah.
Here's Ike.
Yeah, I guess we recognize Eisenhower, don't we, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Boy, oh boy.
That's
Boy,
why-
did he wrestle with a lot of things in his mind around D-Day, didn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Before,
reason-
during, and after.
The
That's-
way I look at it, that's one of the reasons we're here. Is
Well.
Yeah.
How can you feel any other way after
Yeah.
that, huh?
He had it all planned in his mind, and that was it. Now this is Churchill's cabinet room. This is all underground. This is worth going to see. This is really.
Really amazing.
Mm,
I bet you it is, huh?
Yeah.
What a guy Churchill was, huh?
this is the diagram of it all underground. These are all taken down there.
These are places most of our viewers, including Calvin and myself, will probably never get a chance to see in person. But that's
No,
the beauty of having photographs. Huh?
If you ever go to London, that's one place to go to see.
Yeah. Well, you showed us what these were before.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they've got it. There's Churchill's Thunder Mug there.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about that, huh?
We didn't miss anything.
Well, of course
Let
not.
me just slide this one in between those two pictures.
What did you think of the D-Day Museum in New Orleans?
Oh, beautiful.
Wasn't it? I was
Yeah.
so impressed. I
Yeah.
spent the better part of a day there. My wife and I, of course, we both lived through that time period, and she was a young girl when her favorite younger brother was killed, and so it was kind of a powerful experience for us to go through. And they laid it out kind of nice, didn't they? So you could
Yes,
see,
they did.
so you could
Did
see
you go
everything.
over there just before the opening, or for the opening? I
Yeah.
went over for the opening.
It
of
had,
the
it had opened in June, and we were there the following January, and thoroughly
This is a-
enjoyed it.
This is a church window in Southampton, England. This is just before we sailed. These are pictures of us. We're on the ferry going across to Cannes that year. But this whole window is all American divisions and stuff like that. That's the shaft headquarters emblem there.
Oh, no kidding!
The whole window is like that.
Wow, it's really quite
Yeah.
beautiful. Oh, you
Well,
got more shots of it.
There's
huh?
more shots of it there you can see.
Just architecture like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Huh? St.
Yeah.
Paul's Cathedral,
Yeah.
one of the most famous cathedrals in the entire world. Just great shots. And all,
Yeah.
somebody took all these for you?
Yeah.
What?
These
That
are
was a
copies he made for me, and he sent me the book.
Pretty darn nice of him to do
Yeah.
it, huh?
Now this is a
Ooh.
museum in London.
Yeah.
This is the first V2 or V1. This is the V1.
Yeah.
This is the putt-putt that we used to go over. Let's see. I think that's the V2.
I watched the movie. I watched the movie last night where one of these came over and crashed. I said, "Boy, I recognize what that is." Oh, kind of horrible. The German flying bombs and their rocketry. They had the best minds they could find to
Yeah.
come up with these schemes, and they were pretty scary. Their accuracy wasn't very good, but they were pretty scary when they started hitting London.
This is all different things that are in the museum.
Oh boy,
That's the-
fascinating. The planes were truly, truly fascinating.
Yeah.
But you guys didn't travel by plane very much. You went on
No.
board ship
No.
most of the time.
We
We never got in a plane.
never got on a plane.
Thank
And
heaven.
the whole time?
No.
Isn't that amazing?
We had two little things underneath us here that we used quite a bit.
Yeah, I
Most
guess.
of the time.
I didn't want to get in a plane for fear they tell me to get out and walk.
Oh, yeah, that would be, that would
I
make a
don't-
difference.
I'd never make a parachuter. They'd have to push me out.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, look at this.
That's an atomic bomb there.
Yeah. That looks very, very familiar to people who lived through that time period and went through the controversy of whether to or not to, or... Oh, boy.
I'm glad I was in
These
the
are-
Army rather than the Navy.
These are very hated symbols, aren't they, huh?
Yeah.
My, my, my.
G.I. Joe, I love those pictures.
Oh, yeah. The best.
They've got books of that.
Yeah. Who was it? I saw one here a while back someone had. It's one of the new ones. It just came out.
Did you guys actually get to read newspapers or find anything else that was happening?
Yeah, we got the Stars and Stripes every once in a while.
Yeah.
Not often.
No.
I mean, I just wondered how much you knew about what was going on outside of where you were.
I'll tell you one thing about the Stars and Stripes. We were in Balleroy, France. We were guarding an air base. And we're just getting ready for St. Lo. And in comes a Red Cross donut wagon, coffee and donuts. Well, we had coffee and donuts. They took our pictures and everything else. A couple weeks later, it comes out in the Stars and Stripes. Frontline troops getting coffee and donuts from the Red Cross. There was only one sentence they forgot to put in it. We paid for those coffees and donuts.
Isn't that something? See that?
It was the last time the Red Cross ever got a cent from me.
Isn't that amazing? Well, they've come a long way since then, whether you believe it or not.
Oh, they've stole millions now. Look at the. Yeah,
You mean they've got a lot of money now?
no, yeah, they got bigger pockets for it now. This is us going over on this tour. We're crossing the channel. This is the guy that took the pictures. This is his father there. This is another D-Day vet. here. He was in the tank corps.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what I'm looking at here. That's a plane, isn't
It's
it?
a wing of a plane.
Oh, yeah. Is that a
It's-
glider?
No, I don't know what it is really.
It almost looks like a
That's-
glider, because I've...
And that's in the there's a museum outside of London. It's got all airplanes. It's fabulous to go into.
Well, we could spend all day here. I
Yeah.
don't have time to finish this entire book before our tape runs out today.
This is Paganel's Bridge. This is the first bridge captured D-Day.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, the English captured
Oh,
this.
my.
There's 2 taverns on the end of the bridge, one on one side and one on the other. When you cross the bridge here, you go to the one on the right. They're friendly. The one on the left just want your money. I got 2 glasses from this one here I brought home.
Well, let us just talk for a couple of seconds before we wrap this up today. First of all, it's been a delicious experience for me. Spooney, what did you do for a living when you got back, when you got out of the service?
I went to plumbing.
Did you?
Yeah,
I went to the...
yeah, I'm a plumber.
In Vermont.
No, in Connecticut.
Oh,
I had my own business down there for years, and then I moved up to Vermont. My family came up here for a summer, and they liked it and talked me into closing up and moving to Vermont, and I did.
And you did, and the
I-
rest, as they say...
I don't go back to Connecticut unless I have to.
we won't send a copy of this tape to the Chamber of Commerce.
Go
If you
ahead.
don't mind.
I'll go down and get that marker plate so you can see that. Well,
We can wrap up.
Well, we can wrap up down there. We're going to go down to the front of the building, to the front of the great Newton Ranch, and wrap up this program and just tell people that someday you guys have to promise to do a chapter 2, okay? Does that sound
Okay.
like fun?
That-
All right, let's do it.
Spooney, smile, will you?
All right, Spooney, this is the plate you were telling of that
yeah, from
you didn't want to steal from the Jeep, but they ended up giving you anyway, right?
yeah, I got that in St. Mary Elise, up in France. That's the town where the paratroopers first came in, and there's one up on the steeple. You've read about that.
Yeah.
Well, they still have them up there. They must be embalmed pretty good.
I also want the people to know that you've given us a couple of videotapes and an audio tape, and the Lord willing, and if the creek doesn't rise too darn high before we're finished here, we'll get a chance to play part of those as part of this program, and maybe do another chapter, because we got some stuff that dates back to the First World
I
War.
understand that, but you know, you'll never get anything.
Yes, Linda.
You get nothing that will compare with this one you got this morning.
This was really fun. This was a whole lot of fun. As we normally say, the views expressed in the program are not necessarily those of the President of the United States, the head of the Red Cross, the French Army.
I don't care who hears it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Garth, for
Oh.
everything you've done for the North Country and for the entire United States. These guys have been good buddies since then. Garth was telling me how you took care of them. You gave them those great big horse pills. Sulfa drug was invented during that time period, and it did save a lot of lives, didn't it?
No, it saved a lot of guys from jail time, too.
Did it really? We didn't get into a lot of the heavy stuff of...
No.
Explain yourself on that one, will you?
No, I don't tell stories out of school.
No. Well, we've been in school for the last 2 hours. Believe me, I hope we're not tested at the end.
I hope not.
But anyway, thank you so much, gentlemen. Best of luck to you and everything that you do. When you get back from your next trip, you got to give us a holler.
Yeah,
We'll
well,
talk about it.
I'm not worried about the next one. Is the next one after that, the 60. That's what I want to at least live 2 more years because I want to get back for the 60th
Are you
anniversary.
kidding? You've got too many people in this world to harass. You're going to be around for another 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I'll agree with you there.
I hope you guys are around for a long, long time to come. Thank you so much again. Thank you, Newtons, for having us out on your wonderful ranch here. It's great to be here on a beautiful sunshiny day in 2002. I wish every day for the rest of my life were just like this. I've had so much fun today, and who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.
Well, we still got an extra corner.